Welcome back to LakeScape. I'm Dave McGirt, and I'm joined with Dave Gray, who's the general manager of Lake Martin Dock Company, the marine construction arm of LakeScape. And what we wanted to talk to everybody about today is, with the advent of LakeScape, a lot of folks thought the dock company went away or got absorbed into LakeScape, and they're truly separate companies.
Sure.
So LakeScape is this kind of a general contractor that its whole purpose in life is taking all of these disparate needs of our customer and giving them one place to get it all done and project manage it. But what it doesn't do is replace what Lake Martin Dock Company's been doing for 34 plus years. And you've been the general manager over a year now of that entire enterprise. And a lot of folks, get confused about, well, did Lake Martin Dock Company go away? Is it a part of LakeScape, et cetera? So one of the things I want to talk about today with you is, number one, obviously, Lake Martin Dock Company is still Lake Martin Dock Company. Right. It's still providing amazing services for our customers here on Lake Martin. And, as a part of that, a lot of people haven't had a chance to get to know you. They've probably talked to you over the years, but they didn't realize, you've taken on the role of actually running the operations for this entire business. As other parts of the company, other individuals have moved into the LakeScape role and now doing what LakeScape's doing. So with that said, I'd love to, introduce kind of, your history, where you got started in construction in general, and well, quite frankly, in the marine world and in construction world, and kind of what did that evolution look like into where we got to today?
My overall background, I grew up on Lake Jordan, so I understand how to use the lake and so forth. My stepdad and I, he used to have a construction company. I helped him build the first boathouse on Lake Jordan that we did probably when I was 13 to 14. So I've done it for quite some time. My family used to have a boat dealership in Montgomery for a number of years while I was in college. During that time when I was in college, a friend of mine and I opened up our own construction company that was strictly just around boat lifts because that was what coincided with our boat dealership. That was just a natural flow. So after I got out of college, I became the general manager of the boat dealership and did that and our construction company at the same time. So I've been in it, for quite some time. I've also done residential home construction. I'm a licensed home builder. I actually used to be the EasyPort dealer and sold to the old Lake Martin Dock Company before you purchased it. Used to sell EasyPorts to them. After that, I started contracting for the old dock company, and when I say old, just before you had it. After that, I did subcontract work for them for, probably 5 years, and mainly did service work, also did some framing work for them. Bought a service truck, started doing all their service work, actually opened up a service department as the first one that I know of on Lake Martin, and probably still one of the only ones. But did that for quite some time. Then you brought me on, full time, and I still did the service work, my hands-on, and also did the service schedule and so forth. So went from service to service manager, and then did the barge scheduling and so forth for probably about 2 years, and then swapped back to service. And then this past year, moved into the general manager spot. So I've done all aspects. I've done commercial work over in Auburn, commercial work, work at the marinas, residential work. I still live on the lake, so that's always helped me through my career as far as knowing the end use to where I can help, steer the customer in the right direction as far as what actually is user friendly at the end of the day. So
No, that's awesome. And yes, just to prove our equal opportunity company, we did hire an Alabama grad. That was tough. You hit on a couple of things that were really important to us from a management perspective. You've got experience running companies, you've got experience doing the work, and even at the Lake Martin Docks level, you were able to come in. You pitched an entire new service department, validated it, then you documented it, and then you built the processes around that. Then you replicated yourself to where you could be replaced, to where you could move up. You took on other roles in the company that you weren't familiar with, specifically the barge operations and the logistics side of things for a few years there to learn that side of the business. So for us, it was a natural, a natural pick to say, hey, here's someone that has experience running businesses, understands the P&L, understands the finance and accounting side of things. Obviously we have third parties to help that side of the business as well. But more importantly, truly understand every aspect of the operation of the business. But more importantly, you actually understand why are customers doing what they're doing? Why are they building a dock? Why do they want to enjoy their lakescape? And so for us, it's hard to find that blend, right? You can have technical experts or you can have business experts, but it's hard to have folks that kind of understand that holistic view of what our customer's trying to do. And you've lived it and you've learned over the years to make that happen. And so, we've been really excited to see, your growth through the company. And I think for our employees, it allows them to see, hey, here's someone that came in that was quite frankly a service tech that grew into a service manager because we built that part of the company up, documented, wrote down everything they did and said, hey, there's everything I'm doing can be repeated and we can train someone else to do this and hire someone else to do this. And then the company saw that and rewarded that with continued advancement through the company. And quite frankly, that's the whole model of LakeScape is, as we expand nationally, there's going to be opportunities all over the country for folks that want to do more and grow professionally. And so that's, for us, it's exciting because, it's one thing to say that, it's another thing to see it. And you've demonstrated that willingness to believe in the system and how we run our companies. The other part of that, which is really key, is a lot of people don't realize this because you mentioned we bought the dock company as of this episode roughly 8 years ago. It's 4 times the size as it was,
Right.
Revenue wise, right? So it's not 4 times in people, which is really key. And you've been a big part of that and continue to be a part of how we can actually continue to grow that business and provide great service. We can go 4 times as big as we were, but not lose the customer touch. That's one of the things we're well known for is our service after the sale. And not everybody appreciates that. And it's painful sometimes because they think it's just price. And then Chuck and a truck doesn't show up after they're done and they realize what they got what they paid for.
Right.
And obviously it's kind of fun you mentioned, we're the only service department on the lake. There are a few people trying to copy it. Pretty much anything we do, we get copied and it's flattering. But I think the customers know if you want the original and the quality, you know where to come get it. So that's a lot of fun. Coming back around to, how LakeScape works with Lake Martin Dock Company, LakeScape is, kind of bringing all of these services together in one place for a customer. But underneath LakeScape are separate companies and sometimes we own them, sometimes we don't. They're just partners.
Sure.
And we certify them, make sure they're qualified to do work on behalf of our customer because they have an expectation, right? It was born of Lake Martin Dock Company and all the things that you've been doing, and they expect that same level of quality and insurance and the service after the sale. We have 5-year warranty. You can't give a 5-year warranty if you're not doing good work and have the infrastructure to support that. As you look into the future, what do you think the most important things for Lake Martin Dock Company will be to continue to service that customer and then also be able to work alongside of the other trades, which we've done in the past, but we didn't work together. Someone else showed up on a job site. So do you feel like now that this is that entire lakescape project, this irrigation, it's sod, it's the new dock, it's a new seawall, new deck, a new fire pit are all happening.
And electrical.
And plumbing and all these things are now happening. But at the lakescape level, we're project managing that entire project. So, do you feel like the dock company is going to be able to do a better job for our customer because we're kind of in an integrated system versus, the customer trying to GC something and we show up and go, hey, why is there still electrical here?
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. Back, when I was home building, it's not that the customer cannot build their own house and find the subcontractors and so forth, but the overall project is too overwhelming for a lot of people, and or they just don't have the time Plus, trying to find the right subcontractors is always a headache because you hear horror stories of, hey, the guy never showed back up, he took my money and so forth. And so you just break it down piece by piece. We can do $1 million landscape, and it's just another part of the process, and it's the coordination between all the different things will be key, and that's where our strength will be. Just from having the home building and the general contractor background, it's if all of those subcontractors and different trades don't know the schedule that everybody needs, then that's, it's always a hassle, because if you don't get your irrigation or you don't get your electrical in before you do the landscape, then that's a big deal. I mean, because it's always hard getting the electrical line down to the pier and so forth. But and you said earlier that our service after the sale, I would say our service even before the sale is just as big of a thing, because we hear all the time from our customers that we actually answered the phone, which is funny to me, but it's the truth. We have enough manpower from the office staff to where we're always going to answer the phone. And it's not that we're perfect and don't ever make mistakes, but we're still going to answer the phone, and we're going to take care of anything that's going on, whether it be, good or bad. But so I believe our service starts way before the build. Now, the service afterwards, yeah, it's always been great. The service department itself, that's why I believed in it, years back, and you and I, agreed to invest that much money into it, because I know we have specialized trucks. But that's the key, because we'll go out and we'll replace one board for somebody or a few screws or whatever they need. And whenever they need a pier, that's fine. We're going to come in and take care of that then. And our customers have always asked for recommendations for electricians. Hey, can you fix my sprinkler pump? And we've done our best to recommend people, but now that we've got trusted partners to carry that out, then that's going to be a huge thing for us, because we can coordinate it. A lot of our customers don't live in town. They live out of state, or they flat out just, again, don't have the time or the knowledge. So I feel like it's going to be tremendous. I mean, everybody's asked us to do it for years and years, and now we're finally doing it. So I'm excited. So.
No, that's true. And it's interesting you mentioned specifically the service. So the Lake Martin Dock team, nothing changes for them, right? They're doing what they're doing. There are small aspects of the team that might get, some additional opportunities and duties, because you hit on the head, right? We've got a service boat that, it goes anywhere on the lake and comes to the customer by water. We have service trucks. Same thing. They're built out to be able to service that lakescape. Well, the logical conclusion is, if that service truck is showing up for our customer to service their lift this winter, can we not get the cross training to also winterize the irrigation pump? Let's wrap their boat for the winter. There are other things they can do, with some cross training. So I think the dock company team is going to keep focusing on what the dock company does and does well, right? And because that was always the fear in the old days. It's like, hey, can't you guys just go do this? And how hard would that be? And the answer is, it's really hard to try to be the jack of all trades. It's one thing to manage companies that each one do a really good job, but it's for one company to pretend like they can do all things, and that's why, a lot of folks got confused that, the dock company is now LakeScape. No, the dock company does what the dock company does. There are going to be some opportunities, or to use big words, right, synergies of, all right, I don't need 3 different service departments per se, if we can cross-train and get better utilization out of teams we already have. But at the end of the day, each one of the divisions, the landscape folks, they do what landscapes do, right? They're not the plumbing business. They're not HVAC. They do landscape. So it allows us to cherry pick who are the best vendors around the lake that are actually licensed. They actually, have insurance. They actually have their workers' comp. Because unfortunately, there's there's lawsuits going on right now where, folks have found out that, chucking a truck was cheaper, but they have issues, and we want to protect our customer from any of those type things going down the road. So it's really key for us that the dock company keeps doing what the dock company's done really well. With your leadership, continue to refine that, because the better operation we can run, ideally, costs continue to creep up, wages continue to creep up. But the more efficient we can be, the more we can actually keep our price, as reasonable as possible. We're never going to be the cheapest one because we're not the cheapest product. But I think, as we continue to focus on that quality of the service, and, you mentioned, the service before the sale. It was funny when we bought the dock company, someone said, well, in the dock business on Lake Martin, the bar is set. And so for you to jump over that bar is not terribly tough because you're probably going to trip on the bar. You don't need to reach for a bar. And we found that to be true, unfortunately, in all the trades. A lot of these folks do a great job, but they do enough to where they're good for the week. When they need more business, they'll start answering the phone again. Where our customers has an expectation that's obviously much higher than that. And what they want is someone to communicate with them and have that same experience they've had with you and the dock company. And we're going to try to extend that to all the trades. And I think vice versa, the trades, the contractors we worked with for years and the contractors who are now working for LakeScape are excited about it because for them, it's the same level of communication. When they have to call a homeowner to get an answer for their project, they're chasing a homeowner who's, like you said, they're at work. They're not returning calls, right. And they're not going to drive down from Birmingham or drive over from Auburn or up from Montgomery or out of state in this day and age. Right. So the project stalls and their efficiency goes down. So for us to be able to have professional project managers managing the entire project and all of the trades on a very complex work site is, I think, going to be super valuable. But at the end of the day, the dock company is going to keep doing what they do, amazing jobs, and have a phenomenal team to do. So I appreciate you coming out and spending some time with us, and it's been good to hear your history and share that with everybody else. So we'll keep a lot more things coming out relative to not LakeScape as a whole, but also we're going to come back around with Dave because there's some exciting products that they're bringing to the market that we need to talk more about. And so we'll see that on future episodes.